It's the first time that I do that on camera, so I'm a little bit excited with it. Hello, I'm Matteo. I'm a teammate of the group 4.2, and we work on the SDG called Quality Education. In particular, my group is called Grandma's Lego. You recognize us for that, probably. What I'm going to do today is to show you a transition within the course of Vision and Change, but also the transition that I can see on myself and perceive on myself before and after the course of Vision and Change. What I'm going to do is not show you the weekly based series of homeworks that we had to do for the course, but instead to talk to you about my daily experience with the transition of myself. So, as I told you, I'm Matteo. I'm a 23 years old guy from Piemonte. I actually born in Milan, then I moved to Piemonte, where I actually am right now recording the video. I am a huge fan of books, TV series, films, very addicted to this one. Of any kind of romances, science fiction, fantasy, or for example, Interstellar, dystopian and utopian like Black Mirror TV series, Netflix series. I Origin, which is a movie that if you don't have the chance to see, I highly recommend because it's very interesting. But why I'm saying that? I'm saying that because in my entire life, also because in my spare time I do like sketching something on paper and taking picture. I'm recording with my camera right now. In my experience, in my whole life, I always have this interest toward telling something, telling stories. And what I want to do now is to make an example combining my experience as a Vision and Change attending student and my heritage, my feelings, my thoughts about storytelling. So a couple of days ago I was on TV, the 20 years anniversary for the first film of Harry Potter to be streamed on television, and in this occasion all the main characters of Harry Potter shown up and met all together. This was a 2 hours straight show that for me was very interesting, but maybe for my parents or other people be very boring, because I mean 2 hours of just interviews and stuff that was happening on the backstage probably could be very annoying, but it wasn't actually at all, neither for me and for my parents, because they managed it perfectly, not by making interviews of notional information. They actually manage it through storytelling. So storytelling, it's both a way to engage people who probably are not interested in the topic, and on the other side to share information in a way to let people grasp the concept of them, because they are not just listening to information, but instead they are listening to a story, to a system of notions that are based on values, that are based on experience, that are based on traits of other people. And so in this way, a story allows us to not just listen to notional stuff, but better, on the second level, to clash what is our perspective with the one of others. And this allows us to come up with the new mental maps. This is very important, the creation of new mental maps as the result of this clashing activity. Another concept that I want to tell you about is apart from the Harry Potter story, is one of the concepts that my grandma always tell me, and it was a very ancient, let's say, professor of her. This professor always told her that life is change, life is about change, and if we are not moving, so if we just say stop for a second, if I do say stop for today, I'm not going backwards, I just stop. But this is what happened for me, from my point of view, from my inner state. If I do expand myself, if I do expand my recognition of change to the world, to other systems, I do recognize instead that I do go backwards, because if I'm stopping for this moment, it doesn't mean that the rest of the world is stopping from change too. What I got from this concept, it was like, okay, you have to go and always keep moving forward. But instead, what I really grasped, thanks to the Vision and Change course, is we have to change perspective and to build a full vision of it. And in particular, I think that in this concept there are two main perspectives. The first one is the inner one, and the second one is the outside of us one, let's say. So a wider vision that involves other systems. If we start from ourselves, vision, we do see our own change, our own transition, our own vision that is dictated by our own values, our own pillars, our own beliefs, needs. Everything is designed, is envisioned through a long-term goal, a long-term vision. So what actually keeps us waking up and go to work and do our stuff every day is our long-term vision, long-term goal that we want to pursue, that we want to achieve. And we're not going to do that in one step, but it's like a succession of smaller steps. And this is actually what keeps us every day. We're people, we're simple. And what keeps us doing that is to go step by step and see the little increment toward that vision. This is our inner part. And to do that, what we have to do is to grasp, to embody the little changes, the little increments that we are going to see day by day. By doing what? By perceive that change, to study that change, to actively participate to the change, but also stop, to have rest and to grasp in our mind, to let the time to our mind to grasp the concept and build the mind path that we were talking about before. And this is in the concept that the professor of my grandma was saying, is the need that we have to stop. I want to read you a quote by Brian Weiss, which is a psychiatrist from the US, that says, "Wisdom is achieved very slowly. This is because intellectual knowledge, easily acquired, might be transformed into emotional, subconscious knowledge. Once transformed, the imprint is permanent. Behavioral practice is the necessary catalyst of this reaction. Without action, the concept will wither and fade. Theoretical knowledge without practical application is not enough." So we see how we should practically go step by step toward that transition, but also, as it says, it takes time for wisdom to be achieved. So this is the first part of our, let's say, inner leader that leads us to align us toward that vision. And the second step that I got from the Vision and Change course is that we have to wind up this vision, this perspective, or change the perspective, involving other systems to that. Other systems are complex systems of people or just other person, other leaders. So we do consider our leader as a inner leader, and then we have other people that have their own values, their own traits, their own needs, their own vision to pursue. And so they are inner leader too. And what I grasp from the course is that in everyday life, we are comparing, we are clashing my leader with yours, with other leaders, so other traits, other needs, other meanings, other vision. And this is what actually means is that we are clashing, comparing day after day my why and what. So what I want to achieve, why should I achieve it? So the meaning of that long-term goal. And what change actually is the how to achieve that why and what. The how is actually the transition that occurs in all our actions and all our lives. So especially through the comparison with other teammates of mine, with other group, so other SDG of the course. What I have is that the whole social system that we are involved to, which is very, very complex, is based on a several billions gear, because actually every one of us is a part of it. As a mechanism, as a perfect watch, for example, or engine of a car, each gear should perfectly intersect with others to make it work. My vision, your vision, everyone's vision should cooperate with them. Not be the same, not be mandatory the same, but should cooperate. We should cooperate and confront and talk together, communicate together, empathize ones with others. This is very important, and I finally got it after the course. We are not separate entities, we are not pillars, we are little ingredients of the same recipe, of whole system that is the world. Another thing that I really got from the course is that we always, during the course of the bachelor, for example, we do talk about the future, but we never work about it for it. We never worked for it. And the main failure, let's say, that engineers do experience is that when you talk about the future, you always end up for the same static vision of it. So it's a world with the technology. Instead, now in this course, I really had the opportunity to deep dive into the concept, not only of the vision of the future, but how to get there. And actually changed my whole perspective of it. So one thing is envision the future and the design a vision of it. So this is what I want to achieve. Stop. Underestimate the transition of it and neglecting all the possible implication and needs or opportunities for that future to become another future. One thing is envisioning, and another thing is tell a story about the future. How do we get there? Who is involved? At what level it is involved? Which system are going to change or not going to change? What changes? Actually, there is a change in that future. It is positive or negative? How to involve people? Why should they be involved, and so on? So there are several questions that I also wrote in my personal portfolio that you're going to read. There is this kind of level of detail that I never saw in my experience. What I moved from is the capability of envision a future to the capability of include the holistic perspective in that and the causal relationship between the different systems, the micro, macro, meso, exo systems, and the relationship within them. So what is actually influencing all these systems? And so after all this question, my final answer is that of course there is change. Of course there's gonna be a transition in which people, actors, stakeholders are gonna be involved in different way, in different time span of the transition, for different time span of the transition. The thing that I really want to stress is that during the course, what I got is that if you envision a future, it doesn't mean that, first of all, that future is gonna happen. Second of all, it's not going to be the same future for everyone. So my answer to all these questions that I made up before is, of course there is going to be change, because as we said, life is about change. But as we are talking about a future with more opportunities, a future which is more sustainable, a future in which equality education is actually available to everyone for a better future, for a better sustainable future. This does not actually means, it is not straightforward, that the future with more possibilities, for more opportunities, is a future with the same opportunities for everyone, is a future with the same quality education, is a future with the same transition for everyone. On one part, on one side, on the one hand, the reality is about change. And on the other hand, we have that complex system is made by little smaller system, which are which are the links between person, and everything change within a person, and among different systems, or within the same system. So of course there's going to be a change, because life is about change once again. But since the basis, since the background is not the same, there are going to be different values, different economical, social, technical, religious, artistical, environmental possibilities, then the future that we envision as a 4.2 group, as a 4.2 SDG, and as a world with other 2 SDG is not going to be the same for every system, for every person, because every system has its own peculiarity. Yes, there is going to be a change, but no one's going to pursue that change, that transition in the same way. There is this concept that life is about change, and life is change, and actually this is a concept of Heraclitus, the famous philosopher. I do agree with that, but I would like to add, after the course of Vision and Change, that if a life is about change, and each system is different one on the other, then we have to choose the perspective we are going to consider that change, because it's not going to happen in the same way for every one of us. So to sum it up, in conclusion from the course, I do have a better capacity to envision that future scenario that I want, but I also am more optimistic about the future. I really had problem is in that kind of transition toward quality education to happen, but now that I really grasp the wicked problem of social systems involved in the transition toward a more sustainable future through education. Also, I have the transition in my mind, so I'm very more optimistic about that. But the main transition, the main switch that I got from the course is the transition from a self-based, let's say, perspective to a viewpoint that consider to take a step back from where you are, what you're looking at, your vision, take a breath, look outside, so take a systemic, holistic, causal vision of everything, and then understand, okay, this is me, what is my role in the context, and how is the overall context changing. So yeah, this is me, this is Matteo from Group 4.2, and this is my transition.